All right, everyone. So let's get started. My name is Bob Vance with Home Remodeler SEO. And first, I want to say thank you to everyone for joining today. We really appreciate everyone joining us for today's training session. We're going to be talking all about Google Maps and how to get your home improvement or remodeling business ranked on the Google Maps section in your area. I'm super excited to bring you this training because of how important this topic is. And it's part of our bigger series on how to implement your marketing strategy for 2019. You also may have joined us previously on our last webinar where we looked at your goals and how to accomplish those goals. Or perhaps you've already learned some about our online dominance blueprint for marketing success. And a cornerstone of any successful marketing strategy will undoubtedly involve getting ranked on Google Maps, and preferably in the coveted 3-pack where 62% of all phone calls come from. And so today is all about ranking on Google Maps. So before we get started today, I want to ask you to give your undivided attention. How to rank on Google Maps is an extremely important topic for your home improvement or remodeling business. I know how busy every business owner is, and everyone nowadays has so much going on. You have your cell phone probably sitting right in front of you. You probably have multiple tabs open on your computer's browser. Probably have your email open, and yet you're still trying to listen to a training like this, which makes it really hard to focus, and it's hard to get the most value out of this training. So I'm going to ask you to go ahead and turn off your cell phone, turn off Facebook, put aside all of your distractions. If you are a home improvement or remodeling business that is serious about growing your sales, getting ranked on Google Maps is the way to take your home improvement or remodeling business to the next level. And so this next 60 to 75 minutes could really change your life, and it could change the outcome of your business and business revenue in 2019. So if you're serious, go ahead, shut everything down, give your undivided attention. I promise you I'm going to add value, and you're going to get a lot out of this training. Here's what we're going to cover today. We're going to look at the latest changes in the Google Maps listings. Google is constantly changing from Google Maps to Google Places to Google My Business, and who knows what name iteration is next. So I'm going to talk about what's changed and what the current setup is on Google Maps. I'm going to talk about the 5 biggest issues that could be preventing you from ranking. There are a lot of things that worked in the past that aren't working today. And it's good for you to think and to realize, okay, wait a minute, that's not effective anymore. Now I know why I might be losing rankings, or why call volume is dropping, or why you've slipped off page 1 and you're not ranking today. I'm also going to unpack our proven model for getting ranked on Google Maps in the top 3 listings. Who cares if you're on Google Maps on page 6 or 7, because the lion's share of the searches happen on page 1, and that's where over 90% of phone calls come from. So we have a proven model for getting your home improvement or remodeling business ranked in the 3-pack. And I'm going to share the tools and systems to automate the heavy lifting. I'm going to explain our proven strategy. I'm going to show real-life examples. And then I'm going to share with you some tools to automate all of this for you, so you're not having to stitch this together one citation at a time, one review at a time. Here at Home Remodeler SEO, we've had the opportunity to work one-on-one with numerous home improvement and remodeling companies all throughout the country. We've been able to dive into their company, see their values and their goals, and to really jump into their online marketing strategy in order to help them grow from having virtually no presence online in the Google search results to the point where they are now dominating in their local markets. Many of our clients have seen over $1 million increase in revenue as a direct result of our services. I say all this so that you know what I'm going to be sharing with you isn't based on a book that I read somewhere. It's not based on untested theory. It's based on real world experience working with home improvement and remodeling companies just like yours. Most of us are of the mind that you want to learn from someone that has actually done what they are teaching and can actually show you real examples and proof. Again, this presentation isn't a sales pitch for you to hire us, but obviously if as you go through this training and you see, okay, this is a real company with real proven strategies that work, and you think it might be good to work with us one-on-one and let us do this stuff for you, then we would love the opportunity to talk with you, and you can reach out to us anytime and call our office. We would love the opportunity to talk with you and kind of look at what you're doing today and show you how we can help you get similar results in your home improvement or remodeling business. So let's dive into the training and why we are here today. I'd be remiss if I didn't talk a little bit about why Google Maps are so important for your online marketing success. When somebody runs a search on Google, they see so many different results. You have the paid listings on the top, and then below that you have the Google Maps listings, and then finally there are the organic listings. So the question becomes, does it even matter whether you rank on the Google map? Is that even a place that people look? We did some heat map studies, and we actually found that the lion's share of the clicks go to the Google map listings. So now a heat map is where we record the screen and follow along as somebody is moving their mouse around the page and where they spend most of their time with the mouse, where they click, and all that activity shows up on the heat map, and it helps us figure out where people are searching and what parts of the page attract the most attention. Are people clicking this area, or are they clicking this other area of your page? And then what really makes the biggest difference in user behavior? That's what we're trying to discover. If you look at the results, 44% of the clicks went to the local map listings in total. And 20% clicked on the paid links. 8% clicked on view more in order to see more of these local companies and maps. And 30% clicked on the organic listings. Obviously, there's a pretty even distribution. Some people are clicking organic, so you want to have an SEO strategy employed on your website, like I talked about in our last webinar. Some people are clicking on paid listings, and so you want to have a pay-per-click strategy that makes sure you're dominating and that you're showing up in your area. But ultimately, the number one place that users click in the map listings is those three listings, the three-pack, in other words. That's why this is so important, and that's why we're spending a full training session here just talking about Google Maps as its own marketing strategy. A couple of the big changes that have happened over the last couple of years with Maps. First of all, Google changed from a 7-pack to a 3-pack. And all that means is that when you used to search, you would see 7 results in Maps, and now you only see 3 results. Google now is also starting to serve pay-per-click listings in the map area. They're expanding with Google Home services in different markets, and that really depends on your industry and whether Google has rolled out local service listings in your area yet. And Google Maps used to be called Google Places, and then for a while they were Google Plus Local, and now they're called Google My Business, and that's where your map listing is controlled within your Google dashboard. Just going to pull up a couple of visuals of this. On the left here is what you used to see when you ran a search for, say, Oklahoma City plumber long ago. That's gone now. Now you're only seeing 3 companies listed. And what this means for you as the owner of a home improvement or remodeling business, knowing that most people click on that map, is that there is a huge opportunity for being one of the guys in the top 3 results. Most marketing studies have reported that's where 62% of all phone calls come from. That's pretty significant. We like to look at the 80-20 principle. 80% of the results come from 20% of the activities. That means 80% of the traffic, 80% of the leads, 80% of the calls are going to only 20% of the companies that are playing in the SEO world of Google search. So if you're in the top 3, it's a great opportunity. That means you're going to get a lot more calls. However, if you are not in the top 3, or maybe you're in the 4th or 5th position, you're going to notice the relatively large drop-off in lead flow. That's a huge impact on local businesses as Google went from that 7-pack to the 3-pack. Google is now showing ad results within Google Maps results as well. So if you go to view more results and you're just looking at the maps area itself and all those companies listed there in your market, a lot of times you're going to see paid ad listings right up along the top. And that's important because it's really showing the synergy between pay-per-click, Google AdWords, Google Maps, and SEO. You want to be showing up in all the places that your customers are looking. Before the advent and popularity of Google Maps, it used to be organic results got 100% of the clicks. Now Google pay-per-click and Google AdWords are starting to come into that. And so you want to pay attention to that trend and just be aware, because who knows, maybe Google starts to serve 4 or 5 paid listings in the Maps results in the future. This will have a huge impact. And so you just want to be aware of that trend and how it might impact your home improvement or remodeling business going into the future. Now, the other big thing that's changed is this move to Google's local home service ads. If I go to Google right now and I typed in Los Angeles Roofing Company, Google is now showing their own sponsored local service ads right at the top. And just a note, it's going to be different for everyone based on your area and whether Google has rolled out local service ads for your industry. I'm spending some time talking about it because this is probably headed your way if it's not there already. Usually they are testing in California first to see if it's viable, is it a good user experience, that sort of thing. But when I ran this search from this screenshot this week, you should notice that the local service ads dominate at the top of the page. Then there are the paid ads, then the map listings are there, and then finally, below that, there's organic results on the page. This area right here on the top is what they call the Google Home Service ads, or Google Home Services. This is more of a pay for leads type of service, kind of like Home Advisor, but instead it's powered by Google. It's important to know what this is and to kind of start to position yourself to be on home service ads if it gets rolled out in your area. I'm just showing you this now so that in case you're not aware of local service ads yet, you should definitely dive in and get involved in this. So let's spend a little time talking about what it takes to get added to Google Home Services in your market. For those of you that it's not in your market yet, just pay attention because this might be where we're headed and you want to be out in front of this opportunity. The first step is you have to have an advanced verification process. That's where Google is really vetting you and giving you a Google Home Services guarantee where the customer has nothing to lose, and Google is essentially going to underwrite your services to guarantee your services, in other words. So in order to play in Google Home Services, you have to have an advanced verified listing through the Google Home Services platform. Google will also run a background check on your company, powered through a security company called Pinkerton. You also have to have a real physical location, so you can't play in Google Home Services with a home address or a P.O. box. So that's the initial process to get involved with Google Local Service Ads. If you have not done so already, you can go to ads.google.com local services/sign up. So here are some of what they're asking for. This is straight from Google. This is the kind of business and legal information that they're looking for from you. So for instance, your company EIN number, they're looking for your professional licenses. They want to make sure of your hours or the actual hours that you are available and that you're only selecting cities that are part of the Google Home Services program. They're doing more of an in-depth process here because they're going to be putting their name behind your organization on their search engine. So it's their reputation on the line too. And so once you get through that sign up and verification process, here's where you end up. Earlier we searched for a Los Angeles roofing company, and according to the area where you're searching from, you get these Google guaranteed listings with their call hours. Assuming somebody clicks through to you, it sends a request bid message to you, kind of like an alert notification or similar to what you would do through a Home Advisor type of service. For this particular roofing search example, your cost of each lead is going to be around $40. And so if you put this into play properly, there might be a short window of opportunity where you can really start to dominate the search results. And so here's that example in Los Angeles for a roofing company, and you can see that it's possible to own all 4 sections of their search results on page 1 of Google. You can be in the local home services listings if you go through the advanced verification process, and it showcases all your reviews and your 5-star reputation as well. Then you can have Google's paid ads section, or Google AdWords, the pay-per-click ads, in other words, which operates in every market. And next you have the Maps listings and what has become known as the 3-pack. And then, of course, there are the organic listings below that. So if you play this correctly, it can be a great opportunity to really own the search engine results page, which of course is what every business owner would want to do in their respective markets. And so that's Google Home Services. You should definitely take a look into this opportunity. If they're not available in your market yet, just be aware of it. Based on sitting in on this session today, you kind of know what it is, and you'll be 2 or 3 steps ahead of your competition when they do roll out in your city. One of the main things that Google's up to right now is that they're trying to reduce the increasing number of spam listings. There's a report out by Google right now that they've been able to eliminate 70% of spam listings since 2015. Basically, they're on an aggressive strategy of going after companies that don't have real addresses, that are setting up fake accounts just for the sake of increasing their presence on Maps listings. And it's interesting to note that they're not just removing their fake listings, but they're removing them completely from ever showing in Maps again. But for those of you that play by the rules, that have a real location, that is great news, and you can continue to win the day when it comes to owning valuable digital real estate in the Google Maps 3-pack. So you want to make sure to keep Google on your side. It makes it much easier to win in the online world. Let's talk about a couple things that might be hurting you right now as it relates to ranking on Google Maps. First, you have to have an office in the city that you're targeting to rank for on Maps. Now, I don't want to burst anyone's bubble, but if you're trying to rank on Maps and you don't have a location in that particular city, then the chances of you ranking in that 3-pack is very slim. So you want to get a real physical location in the locations that you serve. The other thing is if you try to spam Google with fake locations, you set up a bunch of P.O. boxes, for instance, or a bunch of virtual offices, or you use your aunt or uncle's house in order to claim Google Maps, that could be impacting your results negatively. Your best bet is to get into those listings, into your dashboard, mark them as closed, get them removed from Google Maps, and set up a real physical location and properly claim it, which we'll be talking about how to do that. The other thing that can be hurting you is if you have inconsistency in your name, address, and your phone number, what you might have heard referred to as NAP. What this means is that if you are listed one way on Google, and then your contact info is listed in a different way on Yelp or Angie's List, or in a different way on yellowpages.com, that could be hurting your ability to rank. Google wants to see the consistency of your name, address, and phone number, and know that you're the same business that's referenced elsewhere on the internet. Remember, Google bots run these searches, not real humans, so it needs to match exactly. And so we're going to dive deep into that as we go. The other thing is, did you spam your city name into your company name? If you're Ralph's Remodeling, for instance, then that's your company name. But if you went into your Google My Business listing and you changed your name to Ralph's Remodeling San Diego, California, then Google will catch on to that. And currently, Google even has a Google Suggest action whereby others patrolling the internet or even your competitors can mark your listing as closed or at least suggest a name change for Google to manually review. Spamming your company name, there was a time where that seemed like a great move 3 to 5 years ago. By having your city and the company name on Google Maps, it actually helped you rank higher. Today, that's really going to hurt because Google considers that a complete infraction of its Google My Business rules and policies. So you want to make sure that your company name is just showing in your actual company name. The other critical factor is whether you have enough reviews and do you have real reviews. So what I should have said here is, have you created fake reviews for your company? Google pays a lot of attention to the reviewer's profile, And so there are certain companies that went out and created fake Google accounts, or they have family members create fake Google accounts and write reviews for them. But then these companies saw a drop in their Google search results, and that obviously impacts revenue. So these are 5 things that really could be preventing you from ranking on Google Maps that you want to either fix or be aware of it, because you might have done it inadvertently, or possibly one of your previous marketing providers might have done something of this nature without you even realizing it. And so now I want to dive into our proven formula for getting ranked on Google Maps. It really comes down to 4 key elements. The first is having a properly claimed and optimized Google My Business listing. The second is having lots of citations, references of your company name, in other words, as well as having your name, address, and your phone number across the entire web with consistency of how your company is being referenced on all the various sites and directories like Google, Facebook, Angie's List, Yellow Pages, Yelp. Those are the type of listings that I'm referring to. And then you should have lots of reviews from your true customers in your actual service area. If you look at all other things being equal, one being that you have a real location, you have a lot of citations with consistency of your name, address, and your phone number, your NAP, he who has the most reviews tends to win when it comes to Google. I believe it's going to continue to win today well into the future. It really is one of the best barometers of how good a company really is when all you have to look at is their internet results and what people are saying about them on the internet. This reinforces the point that you want to make sure that you have a systematic approach to getting reviews from your customers in your real service area on a consistent basis. And we'll go into more of that as well. The fourth is just making sure you have proper on-page optimization of your website to where it's clear to Google that you're serving the exact area that you said you served inside of your Google Map listing, your Google My Business dashboard, in other words. And so we're going to drill down into all of this. It's relatively simple, really. It's like I talked about earlier. I want to focus on the 20% of things that you can do that will drive 80% of the results. There are many things that you can do to contribute to your Google Maps ranking, like improving your on-page SEO for your website, but all of that really goes beyond the scope of this training. So if you get these 4 elements right, you're going to be well ahead of your competitors. Let's talk a little bit about how to claim or optimize your Google My Business listing. You do this by going to google.com/mybusiness. This is where you would go and you would either sign in with your Google account or you go to Manage Now in order to go through the verification process and get your new listing signed up. This process is changing all the time with different screen views and pictures, but the gist is that you want to always search for Google My Business Help if you need to get to this sign up page. But in most cases, I would think that you already have a claimed Google My Business listing, and it's just a matter of logging in. And once you get in there, you should see a screenshot that has your listing and all your contact information and more info besides that. And here's where you click on Info to update that information. You're going to want to make sure you optimize everything in your dashboard that you can for better rankings in the Maps results. So one thing that I'm going to challenge you with today is to just get access to your Google My Business listing. Most of you guys have third-party contractors who typically handle this for you. So whether it's a marketing company like ours or some other company, you want to at least have your own access to your Google My Business listing. That way you can look at different insights and you'll be able to know what's going on in terms of reviews for your company, and you can respond to reviews if you want to. You can make other updates. You can upload photos. You can make sure there are no infractions or other messages that are actually preventing you from ranking well on Maps. Usually access to your dashboard will be from your Google Gmail account, or if you're part of Google Suite for Businesses, it's your company email combined with the username and password for your account. So bottom line is to try and track down your Google My Business login access. And then there are some things that you want to pay attention to. First is to make sure that you have your login. If you don't do anything else from today's training, but you go back to your current provider or whomever it is that did this for you originally and say, hey, can you add me as a user on my Google My Business listing? Or say to them, can you give me the username and password? That gives you control and lets you keep tabs on your listing and results on your own. It gives you power that you really need to have within your business, especially for those on this webinar that have had bad experiences with previous marketing companies who hold your listings hostage or end up really never giving you access to your listing ever again. So everything is accessed and will look like this in your own dashboard. The next thing is to make sure that you update your company name so that it doesn't have any additional information, just strictly your company name. Again, you're going into the info section in Google My Business, and here you can edit each section of your dashboard individually. You also want to make sure that you have the right category selected. A lot of times if Google Maps or Google My Business was claimed or set up years ago, you won't have the right category picked. It might not even have any category chosen at all right now, or at least not the best for your industry. Next is your address. The main thing with your address is just to make sure that it's listed the same exact way on Google Maps as how it's listed on Yelp or Angie's List or Facebook, City Search, all the other directories. So if you have it listed as 123 Main Street in Austin, Texas without your suite number, then make sure that it's not 123 Main Street in Austin, Texas, #A for your suite somewhere else, some other directory, or that suite isn't spelled out SUITE. Google uses hashtags for suite, so you want to match that up everywhere. Now, I don't want to go too far down the rabbit hole here, but I just kind of want to show you some common mistakes. And I also want to show you that it isn't so complicated that you can't just dive into yourself and see this stuff in your own dashboard. Also update your hours of information. And if you are truly available to take calls 24/7, feel free to put that you're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If you're not, it's probably better to limit those hours so you're not getting calls at all times of the day or night. But I will say, if you have this listed as Monday to Friday from, say, 7 a.m. to 3 p.m., if somebody searches on Google at 4 p.m., they're going to potentially not be able to see you in the results, or if they do, it's going to say closed, and obviously nobody's going to call a company that's listed as closed. So pay attention to this. And another idea too is if you're a smaller company or don't have someone dedicated to answering your phone, is to use a third-party answering service. That way you can mark that you're open 24/7, and you don't lose those people that are looking on the weekend or after hours during the week. Next is your phone number. This one can cause issues on a lot of occasions. A lot of companies do one of two things wrong when it comes to their phone number. They'll either use an 800 toll-free number because they serve multiple area codes. And this actually makes sense for somebody that might get turned off to your company because you have a 303 area code and they are searching from a 970 area code. Anecdotal evidence shows that 800 area code numbers don't rank very well on Google Maps. Typically, it's no more than 1 in 10 listings that will have an 800 number, if even that. So it's really in your best interest to use a local area code number in the Maps listings. The other thing is to use your main company phone number on Google Maps whenever possible. Again, we're talking about consistency, and we'll continue to talk more about this as we go. But the problem is that a lot of people want to put a tracking number on their Maps listing. Now, while that's cool, and you'll be able to say, hey, look at how many calls I got directly from Google Maps, the problem is that it can create inconsistency in your NAP profile. In reality, Google is looking at your phone number as a signal for how authoritative you are as a company and how long you've been around. So if you have a number that's been around for 10 or 15 years, believe it or not, Google has that phone number in their index, and then that becomes an authority factor that contributes to your listing ranking better. I tend to say, let's find your most authentic number for your company and let's put that in your Google listing. But if nothing else, if you do use a tracking number, just make sure that you're using that same tracking number that's on Google Maps, that you're using it on Yelp, on Facebook, City Search, Angie's List, all the other online directories as well. You have to have consistency across the internet. There's just no two ways about that. And then you can upload photos. Google wants to see pictures in the Google My Business listing, and there's all kinds of opportunities to get creative with photos. Now you can just come into your dashboard, upload your photos, and those will get added to your Google My Business listing automatically. And so those are the main things that you want to do. Use your local phone number and your address. Don't use a P.O. box. If you do put a P.O. box in for any reason, maybe it's just because you don't have an address, it's almost like saying, Google, please remove me from Google Maps. Google will eventually catch this, so don't do it. Also, try not to use a home address either. Try and get a real physical address, whether it's your real office or a warehouse or a commercial building that you're in. Then that's what you need to put in here to play the Google Maps game to true effectiveness. So that's the process, and you really don't have to overthink this. You don't have to overcomplicate it. That's what you need to do. Just make sure it's nice and clean and follow Google's guidelines and best practices. What's really cool is once you have this synced up and have control of your Google Map listing, then you can get in here and see how things look. You can make sure that you're properly verified, and you can optimize your listing and make it really stand out. And then you also have access to really neat insights. You can see how many people searched for you, how many views you've shown up for, how many different actions people took. And even better is that you can sync this to your Google Analytics account and to your YouTube account as well. What I like to look at the most, though, is the insights that your dashboard provides. And from there, we can drill down into the data and really see local specific analytics for your business on Google Maps. One of my favorite things to look at is down here in the lower right-hand corner is how many calls you actually got from your Maps listing. So that's people actually going in here into your Maps search results, and while they're there, they're clicking that click to call phone button. So think about that for a moment. With our client here, they got 48 phone calls. And this is not the total number of calls from everything else that they are doing, but the number of calls directly from their map listing in just the last 30 days. If this isn't enough of a reason for you to say, hey, I need to gain control of my Google Map listing, then I'm not sure what would be a good enough reason. So you want to have access to this information. You want to be able to see what's going on. And you also have a direct feed for your online reviews as well. So you'll get alerted, you'll be able to see reviews, you'll be able to actually respond to reviews as the company owner. And that's really a great practice to get into anyway, and one that Google looks very favorably upon. And we also put strategies into place to help our clients build online reviews. And we set up alerts for when new reviews come in so that you can respond and thank the customer for their generous feedback of your company. Hopefully this was helpful and you get to see a little bit of a visual of what Google My Business actually looks like. Also why it's powerful to have access to your Google My Business listing. And we also talked about some Google best practices in order to make sure you are doing things right, or that your marketing providers are doing things right, that there's no infractions or penalties that could be preventing you from ranking higher on Google Maps or even ranking at all. So that's the first step, to claim and optimize your Google My Business listing. It's the most basic thing that you can do to contribute to your online success. So this is a good place to stop and see if anyone has any questions. Let's see here. Amy asked if you need a different dashboard for every location. A good question, and the answer is that you can manage multiple locations for your company right from the same dashboard, as long as you have all your locations under the same account. Let's see. Jesse posted a question. Can you use a tracking number on your Google My Business listing? So great question, Jesse. We went over the importance of call tracking in our last webinar when we touched upon ROI tracking. But the short answer is that you can use a call tracking number as long as you're using that same number everywhere else in order to keep your phone number consistent across the web. And that really is a good lead-in to what we're going to cover next. The next thing is to have lots of citations across the internet. Anybody can claim a Google My Business listing, and that's your placeholder on Google Maps. So if you're a home improvement or a remodeling company in any market, there are literally hundreds of other improvement or remodeling companies, usually trying to compete or trying to rank against you. So having a properly claimed and optimized Google My Business listing just put you on a list of one of 100 or more competitors. The thing that's going to move you in ranking from 100 to page 1 of the results, and ideally to get you in the 3-pack, which should be your goal, is your authority. Authority is driven by how many times does Google see your company's name, address, and phone number referenced across the web, and by how many online reviews that you have for your company as well. Those two things are the biggest authority factors that Google looks at. They're also going to look at your website to see how authoritative your website is. So it's critical that you're listed with a lot of online directory sites, and it's critical that you're listed with consistency, that you're listed the same way, because if Google sees you on the maps and the internet spiders that crawl the internet say, where else is Ralph's Remodeling listed? And you're maybe listed on Yelp, on Angie's List, on City Search, but your phone number is different than it was on Google Maps. Well, that's kind of diluting your authority, and Google is not sure then what listing is yours and which ones may be wrong or maybe another company. So that's why NAP consistency is so important. And you want to make sure that you limit any duplicate information. If you have your company somehow accidentally listed twice on Google Maps, that can also dilute your authority as well as get you penalized by Google. So you want to have a lot of citations with the right name, address, and phone number, just like it is on Google Maps. And then you want to limit the inconsistency and the duplication of information. One of the key sticking points that I see with this is that people say, okay, I know there's a lot of citations, sites that I can go to, and a lot of them you can go claim those manually yourself. So companies will go and they'll add themselves to Best of the Web, and they'll add themselves to Yelp, and they'll add themselves to Angie's List. And then they'll find something wrong on a site like superpages.com, for instance. And then they'll say, oh man, that's not right. I have the wrong phone number in there, or my company name is listed wrong. And so they'll hit edit and they'll modify the info. They'll hit save. And then they'll go back in a week later and it's listed as incorrect again. And they'll say, man, what's going on here? So what they're really missing is the big data aggregators. You want to make sure you pay attention to the data aggregators, which are Factual, Axiom, InfoUSA, and Newstar. These are the companies that hold the business information for basically the entire industry. What's listed in those sites gets propagated then to other secondary and third level citation sites. So if you go to a site like Manta or Hot Frog, let's just say, and you update your listing, or maybe you even deleted a duplicate listing, but it's still listed on one of these 4 data aggregators, that data aggregator is probably going to wind up popping up again with the wrong information on a variety of other sites. So you want to make sure that you get your main listings right, but then you also have to pay attention to these bigger data aggregators. When it comes to citation management, there's an easy way and there's a hard way. The hard way is to get an entire list of citations and then go to this list of websites and manually create your account, manually enter your information, and then you'll have a spreadsheet where all that stuff gets listed somewhere. So that's a way to do it, and that's fine if you have the time. There's also tools that help you automate this process and make your life much easier. Some of the tools that are really popular in the local SEO industry are Bright Local, Whitespark, Advice Local, Moz Local, and Yext. You've probably heard a couple of these, or maybe you haven't. They're useful for different things. I will say that Bright Local and Whitespark are ones that a lot of agencies are using, and those tools are great for finding inconsistency in your listings. You can put in your company's name, address, and phone number, and press a button and see where you're listed incorrectly or where you're not listed at all on other various citation sources. Advice Local, Moz Local, and Yext are all integrative tools that you can update your information in one place and have it update all across the web. Now, Moz Local is good, Advice Local is good, and then there's Yext. Yext is the most connected data provider with all the major online directories. And the benefit of Yext is that it has a direct feed into Google, into Yelp, into Bing, into the top 50 or so online directories. What you can do as Yext is make an update and have it update all across the board, have it update other directories immediately, and find and suppress duplicate listings as well. But I'm not advocating for you to sign up for Yext because as an end user, Yext is very expensive. As an agency or a company like ours, Yext is quite affordable. So I highly recommend Moz Local or Advice Local or Yext as kind of your primary hub for managing your online directories and citation sources. Now, when we run a citation analysis report, it usually looks something like this. It lets you know what listings you're on, how many are correct, also shows you all the inconsistencies that your various listings may contain. So if you need help with that or just want to see where you stand in terms of your consistency and overall presence all across the web, don't hesitate to reach out to us. We'd be happy to help you with this analysis and at least just get you pointed in the right direction. So here are my best practices for you. These strategies are the core of how to manage your directories, which all feed your Google My Business listing, which we showed earlier at google.com/business. From there, you'll use a tool like Yext to hit the top 50 online directories, and that's also almost the only way to get on Yahoo. It immediately gets you on the Bing as well with the correct map information. The ability to make a change once and hit all the directories, the ability to put out a special promotion and have it hit all the directories, the ability to upload a photo in one place and have it go everywhere, that's the benefit of Yext. So that's the real advantage of using Yext and the ability to suppress those duplicate listings. Duplicate listings can really hurt you in terms of how you rank on Google Maps. With Yext, it finds the duplicate listing, suppresses it, and all of a sudden you're in a completely different place with your online authority. This is the fast track to get your directory listings under control and to move yourself up in terms of your rankings on Google Maps. From there, you still want to get your listings updated on the data aggregators, and those are InfoUSA and Axiom. These are the two most important ones, as well as Newstar. From there, you're just controlling how you're showing up on different directories and on how these third and fourth level directory services are pulling in your information. As long as your main listing on Google, Yelp, and others are accurate, and you're managing all of your directories for accuracy, then that information accuracy will get carried over to all these other third and fourth level directories, many of which you will never have heard of. And then from there, usually that's going to be enough authority from a citation management perspective to move to a very strong position in Google Maps. But in a lot of cases, it's not enough because there are a lot of companies that are already doing this and you need to be doing more than them. So you want to use a tool like Bright Local or Whitespark to find new specific directories that you can add yourself to. Again, I like to focus on the 80-20 rule in this particular aspect of Google Maps. Quantity has proven to be less important than quality when it comes to citation sources. Quality is those top 50 or so citations, and that's usually enough to make you really authoritative, but then there's going to be secondary services that you can be listed on as well. If you search a remodeling directory, or if you search a roofing company directory, say you search for best roofing company in your area. You look for these other directory sites that list organizations like yours, and you get yourself added to that directory as well. That's going to give more authority to your name, address, and phone number, which will improve your probability of ranking on maps or even ranking on these local area directories. For example, if you're in a Tampa business directory, best businesses of Tampa, for instance, you can get yourself added to these types of directories after doing the primary work. That's really how you can kind of move the needle in terms of your citations and your overall web presence. I have a list of the most authoritative, niche-specific directories that you can get yourself added to. This list comes directly from Bright Local, so it's not my specific list that we built here at Home Remodeler SEO, but there's also other lead services like Networks, which is a pay-per-lead service. There's Contractors.com, There's Build Zoom, there's Builder Sect, which is a free directory, Homeblue, Craftjack, and many other directories that you can get yourself listed on. If you want to access to this list, you would go to www.homeremodelers.seo.com/citations. What I would say is that you don't want to start here, though. You don't want to start with these secondary citation services. You want to start with your Google My Business listing, and then you go to the main 50 directories, and then you start to look at these other tier 2 and tier 3 directories in order to move the needle. And then once you have the 80% done, then you start to look at that last lap, or that 20%. What I've really found is that when you get this really tightened up, and again, you have a real location, you have a real office in the city that you're trying to rank in, and you do this stuff correctly and in combination with what we're going to talk about next, you can really rank well on Google Maps in your market. So I want to stop here and answer a few questions that have come in. Alex asked, how often should he be checking citations for his roofing company? So Alex, you really want to stay on top of this. So perhaps every quarter you want to make sure to run a report. If you use a tool like Bright Local, that will give you a lot of insights into your internet profile and of all the directories that you're on. Another thing to keep in mind here too is to use these tools like Yext to push out more information about your company, updates, coupons, updated info, the sort of updates that Google likes to see on a regular basis. Another question from Scott involves companies that hijack your listing in order to get you on that directory or on that particular lead source website. These sites are okay to work with, but you just want to make sure that you have total control of your listing and that it doesn't get hijacked to where you can't access it or make changes and updates. So to keep things moving here, I want to jump back into the training. But if you had a question that I was not able to get to, we'll follow up with you and make sure we get all of your questions answered. The third critical element for getting ranked on Google Maps is to have reviews, and most importantly, is to have more reviews than the competition. So if we search for a remodeling company in Denver, you see here where the first listing has 44 reviews, the next listing has 38 reviews, and then the third listing in a 3-pack has 9 reviews. Now, it doesn't always work out this perfectly, but with all things being equal, the company with the most reviews will typically outrank their competitors. And Google is always looking at how many reviews that you have across the web as well. They're looking at reviews on Yelp, they're looking at Angie's List, they have a whole list that they look at. But from an overall standpoint, it's a combination of your website setup and SEO, it's your citations, and with all these things being equal, it's your online reviews that can really help you stand out. So let's talk about some specific strategies and some specific tools to help you get more reviews to help you play this game right. The first thing is make sure you're leveraging technology. I mean, if you're not sending a review quest after every service call or completed project via email, via text message, or leaving a printed card with your customer, you're leaving opportunity on the table. Every single job has the potential for a good review for your company, and you're not going to get 100%, but if you're not asking for the review after every job, you're surely not going to be getting as many reviews as you could. It kind of goes back to that old adage, you can't get what you don't ask for. You also have to train your team and your project managers to plant the seed of getting customer feedback. In a perfect world, you'd have a process where the customer calls and schedules an estimate. In that process, your offline manager would say, hey, by the way, I'm going to send you a photo of our guy in advance, and we're going to let you know when he's on his way via text message, and so can I get your cell phone number and email address? This is one of the biggest hurdles that companies have. They can't get the phone number or they can't get the email, and these are the best ways to follow up with satisfied customers. If you can capture that contact info at the point of the estimate being scheduled, the resistance is practically non-existent. That's where you get this information so that when the estimator goes out He creates a great world-class experience for the customer. He shows up on time. He rolls out the red carpet with cordiality and a smile. He puts on his booties to protect the home, and he engages with the customer. And so most of you folks all know this strategy. You create this great customer experience, and then the estimator plants the seed for feedback after the job is complete. Your project manager is not just saying, hey, thanks for your business, thanks for your payment, and then walking out the door. Instead, he's ending the appointment with, hey, you know what? I really appreciate the opportunity to serve you today. Our company thrives on positive feedback. And as a matter of fact, my position and my performance is graded based on the feedback I get from customers like you. So you're going to be getting an email from our company a little bit later today asking if you could take a minute to write a review for me. So if you would do that for me, that would help me a lot. So you see how this really works. And you also see this a lot in the automotive industry or in the hospitality industry, but not as much in home services. But when you go and buy a car, it's almost every time they're telling you, hey, you're going to get a survey. I need all 5 stars or I'm going to get fired. And they usually use they're usually that forward with their language patterns. You want to train your crews maybe to not be that aggressive, but to plant the seed. They should know that they're going to get a review request. Then you can have your office staff follow up after the appointment call. What we have found is the best tools in the world will only get you so far, though. You can automate the review request till you're blue in the face, but in some cases, that's not enough. People are lazy, and if they have the opportunity to say, yeah, I'll write you a review later, but then there's no follow-through from your company to try and hold them accountable for that, they're busy, they'll be like, no, I forgot I didn't have time. So it ends up being 1 in 10 people that will take the next step to write that review. But if you do something like this, and it does take time, and it does take energy, the number of reviews that you get will increase significantly. They say that people are more motivated by public recognition in front of their peers than they are by financial compensation. Financial compensation is important. Everybody wants to make more money, but a lot of people get a bigger rise out of being recognized in front of their peers. So help your clients create that culture and to ask for reviews on a consistent basis. And then some companies also have prizes for the technicians that get the most reviews that particular week. We usually see that type of contest with our plumbing and HVAC clients who go out on numerous service calls every day. But your reward can be something simple like a $10 gift card, $25, even $50. You decide what works best for you, but making this part of your business, part of your culture, it will improve your review count. You can then move on to the dominant #1 spot in your area, and just imagine the impact that will have throughout your company. Not only are you ranking better and you're getting more leads, but you're also creating a culture of creating a great customer experience, planting the seeds, and then holding your guys accountable and praising them for the positive feedback from your customers. There's some great tools out there to help with review request automation. We have our own tool that we've built for review automation, as well as some strategies that we've developed for asking for reviews, such as emails, text alerts, and printed cards, that sort of thing. But other review services that I've seen that are the most popular are Nearby Now, which is a tool that can create unique geo-modified content for your different city pages. I've mentioned this previously in our SEO webinars, but it can also automate the review request process or a review request that goes out after every service or appointment call. And then they have some unique tools that they have added recently that can intelligently determine, is this a Google user? Let's send them directly to Google. Or is this an Angie's List user? We'll send them to Angie's List to leave a review. So it kind of strategically gets the reviews on the sites that are easiest for your customers. Review Buzz is another tool. One of the best things about Review Buzz is it focuses on the customer choosing to write a review, not for your company, but for the technician that they worked with. So it's built around the whole concept of you're not writing a review for Ralph's Roofing, but rather you're writing a review for Jimmy, who was your point of contact at your house, he treated you well, he left you with a smile on your face. And so you're going out of your way to review Jimmy in particular. That's one of the things that really helps Review Buzz shine. And additionally, Review Buzz has a widget that you can add to your site that showcases all of your reviews back to the source. Birdeye is another tool, as well as Customer Lobby. So these are some of the automation tools. In my mind, it's less about the tools and more about making sure that you have something you are using consistently, and it's built into the way you operate as a company. So explore some of these tools, but most importantly, create a process that works for helping you get more reviews on a consistent basis. I hope this helps. I hope this gives you guys some tools that you can tap into in order to help automate the review request process. Last piece, and this is relatively quick and simple, is to make sure that your on-page optimization tells Google that the name, address, and phone number that you have on your website is the same info as that on Google Maps. That's the simplest thing that you can do. You want to make sure that you have a footer on your website that has your company name, address, and phone number listed the same exact way as it is on Google Maps. And so you also want to have a hyperlink back to that Google Maps listing on your website. This process works really well because you're essentially making it really easy for Google to make correlations about your company and your online presence. Google basically wants to make sure that all your info is correct, and so they send the spider bots to your website, and they're basically trying to verify all your information. So what you want to have on every page of your website is your matching name, address, and phone number, and then link back to your map listing. So it's a complete circle, and when you do that, you're going to create a significantly greater probability of ranking on the maps in your service area. So at this point, we have kind of brought this whole conversation full circle. We first talked about how to claim and optimize your Google My Business listing. As I mentioned, there are some very specific things that you can do to optimize the listing, and also to make sure you are not breaking any rules and that you're putting your best foot forward and doing all the things that Google likes to see with your business listings online. You want to make sure that you have a consistent name, address, and phone number with lots of citations and consistency of how your contact information is referenced across the internet. And I gave you some specific tools to automate this process, tools to kind of scale and make sure that you've got this right all across the internet. We also talked about reviews and how reviews really help give Google the confidence that you are the authority in your industry and in the markets that you serve. Basically, Google is seeing that you have tons of citations all over the internet, and you have tons of great feedback from your real customers in your real service area. I also talked about some great automation tools for making that process as simple as possible. And we also just talked about how to optimize the on-page factor for your website, which is that name, address, and phone number consistency that we talked about. Obviously, there are many other things that you can do from an SEO perspective in order to optimize your website further, but that will be a topic of another training session in the future. So all in all, you now have the formula, and now you can either choose to execute it on your own, or you can choose to let us do this for you. With our team, we also have some other nifty tricks using GMB post and linking them together. And just like the maps links that we just talked about, pointing back and forth from your GMB listing to your website, you can do the same things by linking your various GMB posts together with your website, with your Google Maps listing. There's so many things to do, and it really boils down to trying to do as many as you can and to definitely be doing more of those things than your competitors are. But this is what we do. This is our specialty. We work exclusively with home improvement and remodeling companies all throughout the country, and so we essentially have our processes dialed in as tight as we can. If you'd like to talk to us about helping you with your overall internet strategy, helping you with getting your citations done, getting your review strategy all synced up so you can maximize your lead flow online, then I encourage you to call us at 855-235-9140. We'll start by doing a complete review of your current rankings. We'll look at your Google Maps listings. We'll help you find the inconsistencies that may be present. And we'll look at your online reputation and tell you where you might find improvement there. And we can also do a review of your website for you. Our goal is to come to the table with the ways in which you can improve your online presence and how to maximize your lead flow online. Now, if you want to rewatch this presentation at any time, or if you want to get access to some of the links that I shared, or access to some of the tools that I talked about after the session here, give us some time to upload the presentation, but you'll be able to go to homeremodellerseo.com/Google-Maps, and there you can revisit everything as well as access some of those resources. So that pretty much wraps up our training today. I want to do a quick Q&A to answer a few questions that have come in. One question from Victor. Victor said, I only have one keyword ranking in Maps, but I have many organic rankings. How do I get more keywords to rank in Maps? Good question, Victor. That really depends on the keywords. Some keywords are highly competitive, so you want to make sure that you have the categories right. Also make sure that your website is optimized for that keyword in your various service pages, and also optimized with your geo-targeted location pages that mention that keyword. Those are things that will help you rank better. Next question, Sarah asked, how do I run PPC ads that will show in Maps? That's a great question, and one I will be covered in more detail when we do one of our next trainings on how to leverage pay-per-click on Google to maximize your lead flow and return on investment. So basically how to do this, Sarah, is that when you set up your Google AdWords campaign, you sync it with your Google My Business listing when you're setting up your AdWords campaign, setting up your keywords, your extensions, and then you also sync your location. Once your location listing is synced up with Google AdWords account, then you can begin bidding in Google Maps as well. Of note, you're not really setting up a separate ad campaign just for Maps. But once you've synced up, Google will then show your ads in Maps for relevant keyword searches. So great question there, Sarah. Frank also just asked, I have a competitor that is using a virtual office run by Regus. Will Google figure out that this is not a real office? So the reality is that Google may catch this or they may not. With Google's continued crackdown on virtual office locations, they have indexed and pretty much flagged every known virtual office location, such as those offered by Regus, by another virtual office provider called DaVinci, as well as UP offices and other similar offerings like UPS. Their guidelines contend that this is not a real office or business location, and these types of listings will not be accepted. It's much, much harder to get these locations verified today, but the reality is that Google may never come back through and find this particular virtual office listing. So the bottom line is that this competitor can disappear from Maps at any time. So using virtual offices or Uncle Charlie's house down the road is not really a good long-term strategy for your business. So great questions, everyone. Q&A sessions can really be powerful. It can really help flesh out more detail and answer questions a little more precisely. So thank you, everyone, for sticking around and asking such good questions. I want to get to one more question. Patricia asked one that I hear repeatedly. Patricia said, our location is in a really small town outside of a big city. How do I rank in Maps for that big city too? That's a really good question, but unfortunately, I will not have an answer that people are looking for. You can be the biggest player in your market. Maybe you have 1,000 five-star reviews, but if you're not in that big city that you're trying to rank for, it will be extremely difficult, if not impossible, to outrank all those other competitors that are actually in that big city. It's not what everyone wants to hear, but that's the reality of how Google Maps works, which is a very geographic specific platform, meaning your location matters and it's the basis for where and how well you rank. That shouldn't change your strategy. You can only do what you can do, which is build up your citations, build your authority, get a lot of reviews, and really just hope for the best, because 95% of the time, you're not going to be able to outrank the competitors that are actually in that big city that you want to rank for. That's just the way Google Maps algorithm works. It's also an indication to focus on your organic SEO as well as your pay-per-click strategy in order to show up in organic searches for that bigger neighboring city. So with that, I want to wrap up and say thank you for being here today. Thank you for your feedback and questions. If you didn't get your questions answered, or if you're still unsure of your strategy to rank on Google Maps and would like to talk to us about doing this with you, then reach out to us by going to our website. Either give us a call or just go ahead and fill out the contact form, and we'll be sure to get right back in touch with you. We'd love to talk to you about the possibility of working together. We've created success for so many other remodeling and construction companies, roofers, and other home improvement companies. Go ahead and reach out to us at 855-235-9140, and let's see if we can bring you the same success. Thanks so much again for your time. I hope you've gotten good value out of this training, and we'll look forward to getting the chance to talk with you soon. Take care.